In a town where doors were rarely locked, one house told a different story. There were no signs of forced entry, no screams reported, no clear struggle, just a quiet kitchen, and the feeling that something had gone wrong very quickly. At first, investigators believed it was random, but it wasn't, because the person responsible had already been inside her life, long before she disappeared. Elena Morris was 29, a nurse, reliable, composed, the kind of person people described with words like steady and kind, the kind of person you don't expect to become the center of a criminal investigation. She worked at Briar Glen Medical Center, often taking extra shifts, rarely drawing attention to herself. But there was something else about Elena. She kept her personal life contained, private, carefully managed, and in hindsight, that silence would become significant. When Elena failed to show up for work, concern came quickly. By the time police entered her home, they found something unsettling. Not chaos, but interruption. Her phone sat untouched on the counter. Her bag remained where it should be. Her car was still outside. Nothing stolen, nothing missing, except her. A broken mug lay on the floor, a chair slightly out of place. Subtle signs, but enough to suggest one thing. Whatever happened, it happened fast, and it happened inside her house. Investigators leaned toward a explanation. Random violence, passing threat, someone who saw an opportunity. It was a theory that made sense. More importantly, it was a theory the town could live with, because the alternative meant something far more disturbing, that Elena knew the person responsible. As detectives shifted focus, they began examining Elena's communications, and what they found complicated the narrative. Late-night calls, repeated, lengthy, a contact saved simply as D. That number led to Daniel Reeves, a married paramedic. Their relationship had been ongoing, quiet, deliberately hidden. He admitted it, but his alibi held, which left investigators with something more unsettling than guilty. Uncertainty, because it meant Elena's life wasn't as straightforward as it appeared, and they were only beginning to understand it. Then came another layer. Elena had filed a complaint against a senior physician, Dr. Victor Hale. The details were limited, controlled, almost restrained. He dismissed it calmly. There was no evidence tying him to her disappearance. But now investigators had two threads: a hidden relationship, a quiet professional conflict. Both carried tension. Neither led to answers. For months, the case stalled. Then something surfaced, unexpected and impossible to ignore. Inside a truck brought in for repairs, a mechanic discovered biological evidence concealed beneath the lining. Testing confirmed it. It belonged to Elena. After months of silence, the case shifted. The truck belonged to Caleb Turner, a volunteer firefighter, dependable, familiar, trusted, the kind of presence people rely on without question. He had been part of the search efforts, standing beside neighbors, offering help. But investigators uncovered messages between him and Elena. What began as polite communication had shifted, gradually, into something more persistent, more personal, and ultimately one-sided. Elena had stopped responding. He hadn't. Caleb admitted he went to her house that night. He described it as a conversation, something unresolved. But the timeline didn't hold. The details changed, and the physical evidence told a version of events he couldn't fully control. What investigators saw wasn't sudden violence. It was escalation, a progression that had gone unnoticed until it reached a point where it couldn't be undone. At trial, the case was built on patterns: attachment, rejection, persistence, a quiet fixation that crossed a line. The absence of a body left unanswered questions, but not enough to prevent a conclusion. Caleb Turner was found guilty. Elena Morris was never found. Her home still stands, unchanged but no longer the same. And in Briar Glen, the memory of what happened hasn't faded. Because this case didn't just leave behind loss. It left behind a realization that danger doesn't always arrive suddenly. Sometimes it builds slowly, in the background, in overlooked interactions, in moments that don't seem important until they are. And by the time it becomes visible, it's already too late.